Welcome to ATB TV. I'm Darren Dance here with Peter Morganti as we lead up to the Great Flemington Carnival, and it's been reported everywhere that there will be no owners or crowd on track, which is going to be very different. And I guess we congratulate all the people with runners in the Melbourne Cup, but we commiserate on the fact that some of them probably wait a lifetime to get runners at Flemington on the first day, Tuesday in November, and unfortunately, Peter, they're not going to be able to be there.
Yeah, sad, because you're right. There'll be a lot of first-time owners. Not by fate, but by chance, we ended up with nothing in it. So we're not disappointing any owners, but not that we didn't want horses there. It's just the way it unfolded. Yeah, it's a look, we've ridden 7 months of COVID now, and a lot of owners have missed out on good times, and there's going to be owners miss out on being there on Tuesday. Oh, well, Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, and the following Saturday as well.
Yeah, well, this year I elected not to buy a new horse for the Melbourne Cup on the basis at the time when we were looking at them, and Sir Dragonet was certainly one that we did actually put an offer in back earlier in the year that wasn't enough money, but we elected not to pursue it on the basis that, one, we didn't know whether the international horses would actually be allowed to fly into Australia for the Cup. Two, whether there was actually going to be any racing going ahead at all. And three, whether the owners would be able to go. And I think part of it, Pete, is not just having a runner in the Cup, it's the journey. Going down to Werribee, watching them work, being part of the process from the time you purchase them to the lead-up runs, to quarantine, and then to all those events that go on around the Melbourne Cup. So we elected to stay out this year. We relied on maybe South Pacific or Southern France. South Pacific's been gelded and sent to the paddock. He'll be set up for next year. Southern France was touch and go whether he could go to the Melbourne Cup, but at this stage he'll be maybe first up in the zipping, but certainly set for 2021. So that's why we don't have a runner, because we didn't buy one for the race.
Yeah, and it's we certainly look forward to those trips to Werribee. It was all part of the build-up, wasn't it? You got to see all the good internationals as well as our own, and you caught up with owners, and it just feels funny. It's a hole in the racing season, but let's hope 2021 we can get back to what is normal.
Exactly. All right, well, let's go through last week's runners, Pete. Where do you want to start?
Half a dozen. Benalla, Motley Prince. Look, he ran 7th. He's probably blown out late, but I think the stable weren't happy with the jockey comments, and they said that they were happy with the run and look forward to him going out to 1400. They weren't disappointed in the ride, but they just thought the wording from Lockie King was a bit harsh on the horse. Yeah,
they thought he was too negative, and they've said all along that he's probably a 1400, 1600 metre horse, so I guess we'll find out in his next 2 runs.
Yep, Leopardstown, Melburnian, ran 3rd, I think it was, since been to the sales and since been re-bought back by the Irish boys. Is that correct?
Yeah, Tony Martin ran 3rd. It was a nice enough run over an unsuitable distance. Tony rang me after the race and said, look, it's going through the sale. If it doesn't make any money, I'm going to buy it back, and the Irish boys are going to stay in. So that occurred. And so Melbourne's been retained by Tony to race. From our side of it, we own half of it with our clients. I'll certainly be staying in her and pushing on. I think a couple of the owners will, and I think a couple will drop out. So at some point I'll have to decide whether I just hang on to those shares or maybe invite some other people in to join the ride. So we'll just sort that out over the next couple of weeks.
Sonata, Periscope, just nosed out of a win. I think it's a tight little track, and Dean just got caught up on the home turn, which is probably the difference between winning and losing. And then there was a little bit of conjecture about whether there should have been a protest or not. I think there might have been some cross wires and an upset trainer, and in the end, we end up running 2nd.
Well, that's twice he's run 2nd, beaten a neck, and 3rd also was about 6 lengths away. So, look, the horse is in great form. Credit to Pat Ryan. He's going well. It was probably a little bit shorter distance. The rain helped. Horse went super. He's on track for a Chuka next week. So, Couldn't be happier. Yeah, maybe he could have protested, maybe it'd be upheld, but can't change history. And, you know, that's just what it is.
Pat did make a good point. It's a 64, benchmark 64, the 2-mile race at Echuca, which he still has to get a run in, but he said this horse is going well enough to win a $35,000 maiden, not a $12,000 one, so there might be some cream on top of the cake at the end of the road. Hasseltoff, Hasseltoff, Sale, heavy track brought him undone. Run was still good, just found wanting in the last 100.
Yeah, he travelled up well. I think Damien Lane thought on the corner he was just going to win. He was travelling that well, but as soon as you let him go, his legs went everywhere. It was a heavy 10. They were probably lucky to get through the meeting. I think if it hadn't have been Cup Day, they probably wouldn't have got through the meeting. Look, first up, got the run out of the way. Heavy tracked in suit. Probably won't get a heavy 10 again in his life. Promising horse. That'll bring him on, and he'll be hard to beat next up.
Yep, the Echuca, we had Madam Mischief. Now, obviously, we've had a bit of commentary with the Arna since. She ran 4th after, look, Parent had every chance in front, but she's only beaten a length and a bit. Was only caught probably in the last 80-odd metres. We'll try her down the beach after we had a chat to Archie.
Yeah, well, she ran 4th there. She goes to the beach between runs anyway, so it kind of makes sense that she goes and lives in the beach.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the rail was no good that day, not as good as out wide. Most of the horses that won came down the centre. She was trapped on the fence because she has to be ridden like that. So we've all agreed to send her down to Pat Ryan for a couple of runs and give her a go down there, trained on the beach, and see if, you know, we can win a couple. And once she reaches the mark, yeah, we can trade her on. No problem, nothing to lose really for a month's training fees.
As big as any with this horse, it's the head too, Darren, I reckon, just from a point of view of she's a bit of a fizzy horse, for a better word, and Pat says it's amazing how they can actually, you know, 1 or 2 times to the beach and the sand, he said you can almost see their change in their attitude, so that would help.
Yeah, well, I must say she looked super when I picked her up from Archie's, probably the best I've seen her look. Yeah. And she travelled home here, an hour drive on the truck by herself. She was good as gold. And she travelled on my truck the other day to... No, she didn't. She's here.
Yeah, she's hard.
I'm thinking I already took her there, but that was unassailable. That's how big a week I've had.
Yeah, can't have a nap in a minute. Igniter, he kicked off his preparation at Bendigo. And look, when you run 12th, you probably think, how can you get a positive? But I reckon that's one of his best first-up performances at an unsuitable distance. He what was the word? Savaged the line and ran through it after the post as well, beaten about 6. But his best work was in that little 200-metre block before and after the post.
Oh, well, first up, barrier 14, hitting the line strong, 2,000-metre horse. I think you'd take that every day of the week, getting beat 6 lengths, beautiful track, proper field, Bendigo Cup Day.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that horse will take good improvement from that, and can't wait to see him probably 3rd or 4th up.
I had a text message about 2 minutes after the race. What about me? From a jockey.
Ah, yes. Mr. Protest Man.
What about me? So that's it, Darren. There are our runners. So we had some place getters. Look, yeah, from a point of view of going forward, you know, they're all in the system for a little bit longer.
No, there's a couple of promising runs there.
Yep. Coming up, starting tomorrow at Kilmore, we have an Irishman back. Almost 2 months to the day since his first up run. He's been gelded since. He has to lump 62.5 in a 1,450 metre benchmark 58, but it's not, doesn't, I mean, the bottom weight's 58, so he's 4.5 above the minimum. I think he's well in, and I think he goes there and goes very close.
Well, based on his trial.
Yeah.
Based on his trials at Caulfield, I think he'll start favourite, and I think he'll be very hard to beat. There want to be a good horse in there to knock him off.
Yeah, it's hard to get away from the way he trialled, and I think they'll ride him that way too, Darren. I think they'll be positive. You don't want to be too far back with 62.5, although, like I mentioned, it doesn't seem as big a weight.
I'm not a big fan of that track.
Yeah, it's testing
Got
it
to
up
go down
too.
the dip. Got to
Yeah,
go down the dip and around the bend and up the hill. So
up the hill.
anyway, these blokes, they're pretty good trainers, Mara and Eustace. Even his brothers and sisters are good trainers. So I'm sure the horse will run well.
We've got a couple of dual acceptors, and we've got La Pietra accepted for Traralgon, but more than likely will run on Monday at Ballarat. First up, promising filly, Dean Yendelon at Ballarat.
Well, she trialled really good, didn't she? She's trialled really good this prep.
Yep.
So, I think he's confident she can win the maiden.
The young girl that got off basically said, she wanted to ride her. She just goes and wins, she said. Carleen Heffel, I think it right. So anyway, we look forward to her at Ballarat. Just going back, loudspeaker on Sunday at Mortlake, their cup meeting, but second emergency also accepted at Ballarat, where she has got to run over 1,000 metres. Now, she needs to step up to the plate if you listen to Mitch's reports.
Yeah, well, she's just going, and I think he was right to take her to Mortlake and try and get a run. She's probably in that Provincial 2 class at the moment, and, she's going to have to find something to warrant going on with.
Yep. Sea Princess, promising filly, had a couple of runs first prep, showed a lot. It's drawn 14 at Mornington, which is not ideal, but like Anthony Friedman said, she probably can't win over 1,200. You might as well be kicking her off and getting that run under her belt.
It's pretty much a replay of a Igniter at Bendigo, drawn wide, unsuitable distance first up, needs to run to get them ready, and she'll go around and probably hit the line strong, and she'll be doing her best work in the last 100 or past the line, Pete.
Yep. One for Tom, Supreme Thunder, racetrack, found the racetrack, has trialled up well. First up, on debut, over 1,400, drawn gate 1, Declan Bates, Ballarat Monday. Interesting.
Well, home track. It's going to be really interesting to watch. He's trialled up well, as you say. He's shown a bit all the way through. He's a lovely horse. And, we're very much looking forward because the Stallion Night of Thunder is certainly flying with everything he's got here. And let's hope this horse runs a bold race.
This stable, they have a knack, doesn't matter whether it's 1,200, 14 or 1,600, at producing them first up. I'll give Archie that. He can get them cherry ripe to run well first up. Seen it numerous times.
If there's money for him, follow it in.
Follow it in, take the bag, collect, go home. So that's it. That's our acceptances to now. Obviously, we've got some runners over Cup Week. We've just discussed that we may have a little Cup premiere on Monday, but we'll just quickly go over those runners without knowing the field. Serious suspects in a listed sprint, 1,200 down the straight.
That's on Cup Day?
Cup Day, yep. He trialled up well. Look, I think in the past he's not a horse that's probably been at his best first up. And saying that, he did run second first up last time with Saab behind that Blade Jowski, but that was 1,100, caught him late. I think he's just done a little bit extra with him to have him probably a little bit more forward this prep. Look, if the same horse turns up, you know where he's going to be at the 200-metre mark. And as much as it's a listed race, and he's always probably just found them a little bit, strong, and it's probably going to be a strong race, just looking at the noms. He's going to be punching away there somewhere in the finish.
Well, he's probably going to be 10. He's probably going to be 10 or 12 to 1. He's going to be top 6 finish, I think. I don't think he's going to be more than 3 lengths away from the winner. And he's probably got some sneaky little chance if he gets things his own way. But yeah, he normally does take a run to clean up. So, it's hard to get past that. But, he keeps telling me he's holding his condition better this prep. He's a little bit more relaxed this prep. So let's hope that's a good sign.
Yeah, and again, another one. Our owners on Cup Day, it's a pity, isn't it? But anyway, we'll be spread all over Victoria and interstate watching him. Same day. Now, this is money bags. Now, I think Rob's going to have a fair idea whether he makes that field on the Thursday, which is that Country Series Championship. The backup is the benchmark 90 over 1,400. So I don't know whether he accepts for that race and then hopes he gets into the other race. I'm not sure where the nominations acceptance is finished, but that is the backup for Moneybags, and it's on Cup Day as well.
Yeah, well, if he doesn't make the country final, which is of $500,000, no doubt he goes around on the Tuesday. So
Yeah.
I guess the acceptances for Thursday must come out on Monday. So
Yeah, so he'll be able to have a bit of a look.
It'll be a last minute thing, but he's probably better placed on Tuesday.
I agree. Periscope also Tuesday to Chuka. That's the race we mentioned, the 2 mile race. He's 25th in order. There's 14 and 4 emergencies, so a little bit of work to be done there. But they tend to drop away. There's not a lot of horses ready to run 2 mile. But Bryce Danaway hasn't got 10 in it. They'll all run.
It's just a little bit. Look, I don't know what's going to happen there. It's a heat of that Jericho series, so they're probably all targeting for a reason.
Yeah.
But anyway, if he doesn't get a run there, I think he goes to Warrnambool Thursday.
Yeah.
Or Friday even. Might be Friday.
So that's Tuesday, and then we spoke Moneybags. Obviously, we're hoping to get into that country race. And then we've got My Shiny Choice, who is in that race. And also we'll have Collectible in the English Bracelet, which is a restricted race, obviously, to English horses. So we'll know more on Monday or Tuesday with all those horses.
Yep. And Gamay must be there somewhere.
No, and
She must be nominated for the Saturday. For the main
Saturday, righto. So we'll be able to probably have more light on that on Monday. Yep.
So we will have a few lining up there over the week.
Yep.
There's probably 4 or 5 there that'll be competing over the week. So
some promising horses coming.
Yeah. So on Monday we might do a pre-Melbourne Cup week version of ATB TV and see if we can get some late mail for the viewers.
Sounds good. Round up all the trainers, Darren. Just get the best from all our trainers.
Yep. Well, we got a nice tip today off Michael Kent Jr. for Saturday. So pretty impressive, young Michael Kent.
Yeah, no, very much good personality, knows his stuff, passionate. He's going to be at the top of the game for a long time to come.
He's going to be a big player in racing, as you say, and it's always good to see you getting him on the back foot early by doing the old McDonald's gag.
Yeah, you got him with that one. I did. It was, I had a bit of a read of his bios and a few things, and just interesting the traits you follow from your father. You know, you're a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old. You follow dad everywhere, and you just can't help but pick up the habits that, you know, obviously Mick, great track walker, and he was a jockey himself, and you can see a lot of dad in Michael Jr.
Yeah. All right. In our tipping comp, Pete, Sir Dragonet.
2 winners, Darren. 2 entrants tipped Sir Dragonet. All the undefeated tipsters fell off their perch on Saturday. A lot of them tipped Russian Camelot. A couple others missed out altogether. But so what we had was Richard Wilson actually tipped Sir Dragonet along with Ian Gwynn, but Richard went to the top of the leaderboard now, so he passed all the undefeated tipsters. A lot of them are on 17, he's on 18. And
great effort.
We're a long way down the tube.
Great race too. Yeah, it was a great race. Sir Dragonet's class horse. The rain really helped those internationals. The track was rain affected, and the rain really helped him. I think if it had, typically that's a firm track, and if it's a firm track, those first 2 horses don't figure. I was on Humidor, who ran last, Pete. He was heavily backed, Humidor. I think 21s into 12s, but the rain put him out of business. Williams said as soon as he went for him, his legs went everywhere, and he was out the back. So he's gone to the paddock, so you won't see Humidor again.
The third horse was enormous. Russian Camelot was enormous, I reckon.
Him and even the 4th horse, I thought that Mugatoo were, he covered an extra 5 lengths. He was very, very brave. Now, it was a great race, great spectacle, very even. And Glenn Boss, hey? You don't hear a Glenn Boss for a whole year and then he just comes out and rides an absolute peach and wins another Cox Plate. He's a freak.
4 Cox Plates, 3 Melbourne Cups, any amount of, you could have 4 Melbourne Cups. Who knows? You get a wet Tuesday. I mean, that also, I don't know. They don't back up very often inside 10 days, some of these Europeans, so I suppose that's a question mark. But gee, it was an impressive horse going through the line, and as you said, on a softish track. But yeah,
the feeling in the stable. The feeling in the stable is that the run's actually brought the horse on, and he's improved off that. They feel now that he might have went into that race a little bit underdone, and he's actually benefited from the run. So keep that in the back of your mind when you're taking your exotics on Tuesday.
It pushed the market around a little bit, so a bit scary. But anyway, all my eggs are in the surprise baby basket.
You still got that $7 million multi running?
Yeah, I wish. I wish for a place.
All right. Well, we might leave it there, Pete. I hope everyone enjoys Derby Day and the weekend from home. I'm sure the TAB apps will all be crashing because everyone will be on them. It's going to be a great day's racing, and we'll come back to you on Monday with our pre-Cup week preview. And until then, I'm Darren Dance with Peter Morganti. Have a great long weekend, I guess, out of lockdown.
See you Monday, guys.
Welcome to ATB TV. I'm Darren Dance here with Peter Morganti for our weekly wrap-up of racing in ATB world. And today we're joined by the young gun, son of a gun, or just a gun, the smoking gun, Michael Kent Jr. from Caulfield, Cranbourne, or wherever you might be down there. You're unlocked.
Unlocked is fantastic. And pleased to be here with a couple of wise old fellas.
Well, I don't know who's sitting behind you in that room. It must be Mick Price, is it?
The old fellas is pretty right. I don't know about the wise part, though, Michael.
Peter, I'm just going to steal that line you were telling me about before.
Here we go.
When they go to work in the morning, they pull in a McDonald's for breakfast, and Mick Price he orders a Big Mac, and Michael Kent orders a Junior Burger.
Yeah, I copped a lot of flack for the burger with a lot analogy in the Herald Sun. Quite an unusual one, but he's got away with words, the boss.
And I think now every visitor on ATB at the end, I'd like them to thank their brothers and sisters, whether they have any or not.
How's he going with that comment?
Outstanding.
Unbelievable.
Emotion can do wonderful things. Righto, Pete, I'm going to hand over to you for the first part of this.
Yep, no worries. Michael, obviously, thanks for joining us. We'll just, what I'll get you to do is give us a bit of a snapshot of your racing background. We obviously know Mick Kent Sr., your dad. You've got a bit of history as a picnic rider, but just give us a bit of a brief role of, you're probably with a 2-year-old following your dad around the tracks right from the get-go, right through to now with Mick Price.
Yeah, for sure. Been absolutely blessed. A bit of feedback there. Very blessed to have a great upbringing. Obviously, Dad's a trainer, but also both my grandfathers were trainers. My uncle was a Group 1 winning jockey, so it's in the family, and I would be doing nothing else, I don't think. I went to university, did a Bachelor of Science at Melbourne Uni. Dad wanted me to be a veterinarian, which did not interest me at all. No passion to fix horses' trains are broken down. I want to be the guy training the horses, I suppose. Did the picnics, as you say, which was a great way to cut my teeth, and I was training horses there. Actually got my license out. As a young buck, you think you can do everything different to your dad and change things up. So I was working 4 in the mornings with my grandfather, mum's dad, and then working at dad's, and we had a lot of fun, riding winners, training winners, and it was good. And then I went off to Europe, and as Darren knows, worked in Newmarket for a couple of years with William Haggis, who's sort of a top 3 trainer there. Spent 6 months with Dermot Farrington, one of the leading bloodstock agents in the world, who bought Loving Gabby, to name a few. And and then came back to Melbourne, was working with Dad, was helping do some bloodstock work, and Mick Price completely came out of the blue and asked me to join him. That was sort of on the back of Luke Wilkinson departing to Yulong. He needed to fill that role of bloodstock manager, but it's becoming more popular now to have a racing partner, and it's important. It's so busy now, and I was blown away. That was Sydney Classic Sale in February last year. He just called me up out of the blue and sat me down and offered me an amazing opportunity, which I grabbed with both hands, because he's been a top 3 trainer for the last 10 years at least. He's always thereabouts, and he's an amazing businessman, amazing horseman, got a great team around him, and an amazing database of clients, including you guys. And things have worked out better than I ever could have hoped for.
Did that, I don't know where you sat with where your plans were when that company, like as you said, it was out of the blue. You rolling along then, what were your plans without knowing anything about Mick Price?
It was, I always wanted to be a trainer, but I knew I didn't want to delve into it too soon. It's very difficult to just go out there and do it. There was no rush to get into it. Most trainers make their mark post 30, and I was sort of 28 at the time. I was doing bloodstock work, and Dad was pushing that heavily. He never wanted me to be a trainer, at all too soon. It's such a tough job, I suppose. But getting the offer from Mick Price is the best leg up any young guy could get. Tail coating him, I get to just train the horses at the moment. So I'm learning that side without having the stress of owning the business or employing staff or work cover. I'm not the one spending credit at Magic Millions, for example. So there's a lot of benefits for both of us. Two sets of eyes are better than one. And I think it's really working for us. We get along extremely well. It's definitely the master and the apprentice, so we don't clash at all. But I definitely, give my 2 bobs worth, and we work really well together.
No worries. Just obviously we've had horses with your dad, and I'll just go back, the connection with ATB. We had Tactimus Strong. Didn't quite work out here in Australia, but he was a good horse when he found his heavy tracks back in Europe.
Well, he was the best wet track stayer in the world, wasn't he? At that point, I've ridden him before. As big a stride as you'll find, an amazing horse, and it just didn't work out here, obviously, but a great result for your clients you put into him. Yep,
Darren, I'll hand over to you.
Well, I guess that's when I first got to know you, Michael Kent Jr. was through Tactiboy Strong, when you were riding him a bit of work there, and he was a horse we brought out for the Melbourne Cup, and I think he only had a couple of starts here and I don't know if he beat a horse home. I don't think it rained for the 458 days he lived in Australia, apart from maybe one day, and he won a trial by a couple of 100 yards. It was a brave move. It was a real brave move at the time to send him back to Europe. I thought a lot of the clients would have dropped out, but they pretty much all stuck. And I joined you over there in France one weekend, and we watched him go around. We had a wonderful time, didn't we?
Yeah, in the pre-Cadran, I think on Arc Day, and you guys provided a good group of owners an amazing experience to run a horse on Arc Day and to win a Group 1 over there. I mean, that's stuff of dreams, isn't it? So fantastic experience, and we had a great night. We had dinner afterwards. We were sucking down the escargot, the snails. We had plenty of beers, and it was fantastic. Yeah.
I can't remember the name of that restaurant, and I don't know if I can remember leaving, but I can remember paying the bill. It was a great weekend. No, it was one of the, and given what we've been through this year with COVID, I think you look back on that time and, we're just privileged to be able to have that horse travel to Europe. And, as a group, whether there was 8 or 10 of us there, it was just a fantastic experience for all of us.
Yeah, amazing. Yep.
Now, moving on, Mick Price, man, a few words. direct. Doesn't really have a personality on air, monotone. But behind the scenes, the bloke's a roaring idiot.
He is. He is. He went, he got into his cycling now. So he bikes every afternoon for about an hour, and he decided to go with Hugh Bowman last Thursday. And Mick rocked up in the footy shorts and the blue singlet. Hugh Bowman rocks up in the full Tour de France gear. And Mick said Hugh was like off and gone. He couldn't catch him. He's huffing and puffing, and Hugh's just cruising along. And Mick crashed into the back of him, hit the skids, did a massive face plant, and his brakes wouldn't work for the next 20 kilometres of the ride. So he's a bit of an action addict. He loves his motorbikes and his fast cars, and he's a lot of fun. He's, as you said, he's very direct and to the point, but he's got a great sense of wit to him, and a good funny side to him too.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people don't see that. And I guess around the stables and that, it's business. But I think you guys would have a lot of fun around there from what, just from what I've got to know him. I think one of my lines was when Matthew Williams was looking after Sunburn and he got it a win. I think I sent you and him a text to say you'd have to be the two best pre-trainers going around and probably the most expensive pre-trainers going around.
Yeah, that was very good. Yeah, but he's never under stress. Even this morning is a good example when Ocean X was jogged up for the vets, racing Victoria, and she was a little bit off in her action on her foot. And, he never panicked. I imagine a lot of trainers would be throwing the toys out of the cot. And, he's got the farrier in, and the farrier fixed her up, and an hour later she was perfect. And he never, he was still in a fine mood because, stressing about it won't change what happens. He's very, that's the fact, that's the problem, solve it, move on. And it's a good way to be, and it's definitely rubbed off on me. You deal with so many problems each day, so you can't stress over them too much. Just deal with them the best way you can, and it's a good way to be.
So typically on a Monday to Friday, your work day, what time's the alarm go off, and how does your day pan out? Yeah, so
at 4 o'clock goes off. I'm in Cranbourne here. We'll be moving it to a stable here in 6 months' time, probably, which will be easier for me. But yeah, I'm into Caulfield before 4:45. We're in the middle in the tower, training 75 horses between 5 and 8. Then we walk through 3 barns, go over with the vet or the farrier any issues. Then we're in the office virtually from 9:30 until 2 o'clock. Maybe 3 o'clock, and then I drive home unless I'm going racing. So it's good. Most trainers work a split shift, which makes it very difficult. You go home at 11, come back at 2, and then you work through till 5 or 6. That makes it very tough. I think it's the way we do it's more normal, better for your body clock, and Mick's big on the work-life balance. So it's important to have a life outside of work, so we try and get everything done before we leave, and then after 5 o'clock we can sort of just switch off a little bit and have a bit of a normal life.
Joining the partnership, what do you think you've added? Because the team's flying. Mick was just going to you, turned up. Now the team's flying. I know you keep telling me that, but what do you think you've brought to the table?
I did train 37 Group 1s without me, and made several stallions. Look, I think I think he's got an amazing setup already, obviously, but I think I add a bit of a conduit between himself and Warrnambool stable, and himself and the vets, and himself and the staff, so there's so much to do. And I think I help manage the whole team overall, bring horses in and out of pre-training and spelling, and organize everything. The communication, I think, has gone to a new level. I get told that regularly, so we do a video once a week or a voice update. The bloodstock, I like to think I've helped there. We've bought 3 out of Europe, 2 at Tats yearling sales, and we bought actually 6 out of America recently in the yearling sales. So doing a few things differently, buying them out of the New Zealand trials. So I think everything's going really well. But I think just in general, that overall management is something that I've been able to help Mick with. He's got a lot on his plate. He's got a brilliant mind, and you can't think of everything and do everything by yourself. So having a second person's a huge help, and especially going to, you know, it seems like this day and age there's a horse sale on nearly every week somewhere in the world. So you sort of need two of you, one person to go to the sale or do the work, and one of us to stay behind. And you know, Mick's very good at buying yearlings, and it's important that he spends a whole week at a sale, and that we have the staff and the system behind him to keep the stable running while he's out there buying yearlings, I suppose.
I took great pleasure the other day and sent him a text after the Everest, just to remind him that him and I were the underbidder on Classic Legend.
Were you really?
Yep.
Did not know that.
He told me to stop, so probably in the next week or so there'll be 2 bags of concrete turn up, just that he needs to eat to harden up and go a bit harder.
Well, you won't soften up next time. So we'll have to meet again at Magic Millions in January.
I think that year he missed out on Classic Legend, and then without me, he missed out on Farnham. So I think you've just got to punch him in the back when he's bidding, so he pops his hand up and gets that extra bid in.
Yeah, no doubt. Then look, then you buy horses like Flying Artie for 50 and Extreme Choice for 110, and so it goes both ways, I suppose. But yeah, that's tough with Classic Legend.
Just while you mentioned that, going off script, Pete, but Extreme Choice, Flying Artie, gee, they've started well at start, haven't they? Their 2-year-olds look very impressive.
Yeah, especially Extreme Choice. I think only got 40 foals in this 2-year-old crop, and already had 2 winners. We've had a stakes place getter, who I think is a very smart horse, Extreme Warrior. I think over 10% of them have won trials. So, I mean, amazing. It's going to be tough for him because if you're a breeder with a nice mare, you're probably not going to go to him because he gets about 1 in 3 mares in foals. So it's going to be very difficult for him. But when we went to the sales, honestly, hand on heart, I reckon I saw 35 of them, and you could have bought 30. Like, they're just the ideal Aussie speed types. Like, they're neat, short back, big shoulder, big hip, beautiful brains, good movers, and it's turned out to be sort of true. Flying Artie was one I didn't expect to come out and get runners so early. His foals and yearlings looked backward and immature, like him. You know, he initially passed in as a yearling, so and only made 50 grand. So I mean, you imagine he not throwing precocious stock, but they've come out running. You know, that's fantastic.
No, I agree. And just finally, before I flick back to Pete, Matthew Williams, or as we call him, Beetroot, he's a pretty important part of your operation, isn't he? Massive.
Yeah, you won't find a better bloke, as you would know. He's very genuine, honest, super hardworking, talented, and for us, he's extremely important.
What's he bring to the table?
So having that Warrnambool base just allows to another dimension to our stable. There's certain horses that just don't cope with Caulfield. Caulfield's an amazing training centre, but as we know now, it's become common that most of the big stables have a beach stable, and you need that to keep certain horses in training, to keep them sound, to keep their minds fresh, so we can increase the length of preps. You know, some horses like that, Heptagon's a good example. You know, he walks out of his box every day a little bit shuffly, and if he was at Caulfield, he wouldn't have stood up. Down at Warrnambool, he won 4 on end as a 7-year-old. So done an amazing effort. Redwood Shadow, he runs in the Derby for us on Saturday. I think he's 5th favourite. You know, he's been there the whole time. He was a bit iffy last prep with a sesamoid issue, gone down there to Warrnambool and never had a bad day. So, you know, those sort of stories are what it's all about. And definitely our clients love the fact we've got that extra dimension. So it's helped us get access to a few more European imports that otherwise, you know, they're not as easy to keep in concrete jungles, you know, city stables. So down at Warrnambool, they can live out in the pack in the daytime, go on the beach, water walker, treadmill, deep sand track. And he's just so easy to work with. He really works in with us, and it's a great system, and it's really working.
I agree. Peter?
Yeah, Mick, just going back, just a couple of things I'll touch on. Now, obviously, with your riding, I was a camper down there earlier this year, and here's Michael Kent Jr. riding in the trials. Do you throw your leg over many, you're obviously training, there's a heap to do there, but you still jump on board apart from that morning I saw you at the trials?
Yeah, every now and then. I can't ride anything on Tuesday and Saturday because they're gallop mornings and there's so much going on. So if I ride one, I miss seeing 10 or 15 horses work. But definitely on like sort of Wednesday, Thursday, maybe Friday, I can jump on, and I love having a feel of the babies. I feel like once I've ridden a horse once, I've got a really good idea on, do I like it? Is it a good mover? It's action. I've been very lucky that Dad was a good rider and has always taught me about listening out for breathing issues, and I've seen wind operations. So I like to think that I can ride a horse and quickly identify any issues it might have. But the main one being, is it fast and do we like it? And I remember like last year, I rode nearly every one of our 2-year-olds that came in, and we must have 100. And I said to Mick, gee, I like most of these. They're beautiful horses, and we had a quiet 2-year-old year. And that was just simply because they were too mature. We looked after them, gave them the time they wanted. And as you've seen, our spring this year, we had an amazing bunch of 3-year-olds, a really good spread. We've had 4 or 5 stakes winners. Odium's won a Group 1. I rode her after the Guineas just to see how she'd come through it, and was most impressed. So should be another good chance for us on Saturday, Derby Day. And it's a really good. I love it too. It keeps your eye in and keeps me fit. And there's no better feeling in the world, honestly, than riding a fast, fluent-moving racehorse.
You said that morning you'd missed it, and it was just good to get into that little bit of competition again, even though they were trials, just to throw your leg on one and let the hair down, so to speak. Yeah,
exactly. No, it's great fun. So I was down at Terang on Monday, actually. I galloped one with Den Yendel, and had him beat pretty fair and square. He went a bit soon, and I got him on the line.
You heard about it too. I'll just get into track walking in a minute, but you mentioned Odium, first Group 1, huge thrill.
Massive, yeah. And it's funny, it's so busy day to day that you don't look too much into it, but on race day, it really got to me how much of a chance she was. Just got more and more confident. She just bloomed on the right day, and she'd come through the weaker sort of form race, what everyone thought was the weaker race, and the Jim Maloney, but she's just gone to a new level, and with the right barrier draw, and I got really confident in the mounting yard seeing her parade, and she's a funny filly. She's a very slow learner. We didn't think she'd get to that level at the start of the prep, and every time she's won a race, she's won by a big margin with her ears pricked. So who knows what's left to come.
I think Michael Walker had his acceptance speech written out that morning too. He was pretty keen.
Yeah, he's been saying the same kind of things this week. So anyway, there we go.
Their dad was a big track walker.
Yep.
I read a funny story. I think it was a Herald Sun clip. You used to go to the picnics and you carried on that walking. Obviously, you were probably walking behind Dad for years and years, and obviously not many of the picnic riders would have been doing the walking, but you found a huge benefit at Yea, where there was a golf course inside the track.
Yeah, it's bizarre. The sprinklers would like hit the first 4 lanes, so they'd be a soft 6, heavy 8 every meeting. And being a picnic track, they couldn't get near the outside fence. So it was like a fast one, no joke. And it was this big track, and it'd go from a half mile uphill, and the last 600 was like a downhill and then into the straight. And I'd just sit there midfield waiting, and then get to the 3 furlong micro and just go. I get to the outside fence, and like these really bad horses would run home in 32, I reckon. Like they were just flying home, and I was scraping the outside fence. And so I think I had 13 rides there for 7 winners, and I wasn't a good rider, but those little things helped me.
I think it says a lot for track walking though. Dad was an expert at it, or still is.
Yeah, he is. So it definitely gives you an edge particularly during the winter months.
Yep. Roll back to you, Darren.
Michael, Caulfield, you said you're moving to Cranbourne in 6 months. I mean, I guess that means that Caulfield, you move out of Caulfield, or do you have the 2 bases, or how does that happen?
Yep, no, we'll move the whole team. So we don't have to leave this early, but it's coming in the next couple of years. Everyone will be out of there, which is a terrible shame, but it is what it is. So we've designed a state-of-the-art stable at Cranbourne. So we'll go right beside Trent Bussard and Natalie Young. They're building us a brand new swimming pool in between Bussard and us. There'll be 70 boxes and 10 big yards. They're going to be huge boxes. We've designed it with fantastic ventilation. We've got 2 walkers, treadmill. The upstairs will have like a very flash sort of wooden floorboard office with big glass fronts with a balcony, so owners can come up, much like Robbie Griffiths' stable, which you know. So owners can come there and have a drink or a coffee in the mornings and watch track work. Cranbourne is just, I know Cranbourne very well, but it's going to be a whole new level by the time we get there. They will have 4 grass tracks that are all at least 1.5 miles around. So that's virtually bigger than any racetrack in Victoria. And if you measured the width of all the grass tracks together, there'd be over 100 metres wide of grass. You know, so they've got 4 grasses. They've got a brand new poly track just gone in, which is now known as the best synthetic surface. The Pro Rider was no good, so poly track's the track you use at Pakenham and Ballarat racetracks. And they got the Outback Sand Hills, which is a really great, easy day for them. So that with a brand new pool, I mean, it's going to be unbelievable.
Sounds exciting, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's going to be the best centre for sure. You know, Pakenham's okay. It's still very in its like infant stages, I think. But Cranbourne's been there for a while. Now all this money's been poured into it, and by the time we get there, it'll be a real centre of excellence.
From a jockey point of view, you don't really seem to have a stable rider. I guess most stables don't these days. Who picks the riders for the horses in your operation? And you know, you probably use 6 or 7 riders on a regular basis, but
yeah,
who makes the engagements? And what are some of the points that you think about when you engage a rider for a horse?
Yeah, for sure. So it's like a team effort, but every Tuesday morning we'll have Damien Oliver, who's probably our number 1. We'll have Mick D, Michael Walker, and then we also use the likes of Mark Zara or Ben Mallam or Job Neal, who are often floating around at Caulfield, and Jamie Carr as well. So we've got a great bunch there. It sort of honestly can work just by chance sometimes. So in the mornings, jockeys are in the tower, horses come up with the staff on board, having been warmed up, and we'll just throw a jockey on. Often I'll try and align a jockey with a horse that I feel might suit him, but sometimes it just happens by chance that a rider will hop on a horse, have a really good feel of it, he likes it, he requests to ride it in the trial, it trials well for him, and then he ends up on it race day. So it sort of can just sort of fall into place like that. And other times, obviously, you know, you might have Zach Spain ride 1% of Maiden, and then it goes to a Group 3, where we're probably going to put on like a Damien Oliver on board or a Mark Zara to try and give our owners, you know, we often think of the owner. That's probably the main point. We talk to you guys, and certain owners like the best jockeys on board, and that's fine. Yeah, so between myself, Mick Price, and Matt Finn, the racing manager, we often have a little bit of a talk about each one. We try and divvy it up as best we can. But as I said, I think sometimes it just works out that way. Like Michael Walker with Odium, you know, he just happened to jump on her in her first jump out. We didn't know she was a star. He had a really good feel of her. He rode her in the next jump out, and that's how it works. And there you go. Now he's won a Group 1. So it just shows the jockeys that get there the most and ride the most work have the better chance of getting on them in the big days. And Michael Walker, he is the hardest worker we've got just about. He's there every Saturday and Tuesday. Most of the big guns only go Tuesday, and yeah, it's reap rewards for him this spring.
Damien Oliver, been a top rider for a long time. In your opinion, what makes him so good?
He is 2 lengths ahead of everyone else in the race before they know about it. You know, he's just thinking ahead. His sense of pace and timing is the best. So we might have an instruction to go forward in a race. He'll bounce and in 2 strides have a look left. No, there's too much pace there, and just ease back. And he's always in the sweet spot in the race. And that's so important. You know, if the pace is slow, he's a little bit closer. If the pace is fast, he's 1 pair back, and his timing's impeccable. And I love, he's a bit Lester Piggott-like in that he always saves a little bit for the last 10 metres. So you'd see Lester in the Epsom Derbies, he'd be, you know, in the last 3 strides, he'd go bang, 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 and the horse would just surge a little bit just to win. And Ollie's the same. He's just, you know, he's there, he's striking the horse in the last 50, and just creates a bit of excitement that gives that horse that little bit of burst of energy, and he lowers his head and he wins the race. Like, more often than not, he wins a photo finish. And he's the best. And it's the feedback you get too, you know, which is just, you know, the best jockeys give the best feedback. As simple as that. They can analyse the horse so much better than the ordinary jockeys. And for us, that's massive.
I think one thing I learned about all that when we had Cracked the Code with you is she was a promising Group 3 winner. And I think what I didn't appreciate at the time was that Damien Oliver was pretty much there working her and galloping her, and he was pretty much, you know, every time you decide whether it needed another trial or it was ready for this race, or with, you know, he had input into the decision-making process, and more often than not, he was right.
It's funny, in the mornings in the tower, most jockeys sit in the middle in a bunch on their phones, laughing at funny videos, and Damien Oliver is in the corner with his trainer's magazine, flicking through the program, coming up to you every 5 minutes and saying, "Hey Mick, I reckon that'd be a nice race for that horse, and where are you taking that horse?" Sometimes he trains the horse for you. He's very funny. I remember when I think Cafe Ritsu won at Flemington, and she could have been an Oaks chance, and she's in the Oaks, and he said, "Look, if you just go back to Longwood, give her a week in the paddock, box at night, a week on the water walker, and then bring her in." And then we're just thinking, he's just too good, you know. But it's fantastic because he thinks about it and he cares, you know.
Yeah.
I wonder if will he go into training after riding?
I asked him and he said no. I couldn't believe it. The way he thinks about it and plans it. I thought he would be a Monty to be a trainer because he seems to love it. But he told me he had no intention.
Well, there you go. Pete?
The best week in racing is coming up, Michael. Carnival, Flemington, back in, I think it was in April. The Andrew Ransom gave you a ticket in with Ocean X, but we hear this morning, and you mentioned before, there's maybe a little hiccup. How's all that unfolding?
No, she'll be fine. Got an amazing farrier. Just had a bit of heel pain, and she was a little bit iffy on that right front, but farrier took the shoe off, put a bit of a fabric in between, and then shoe back on, and we just took the heel off like of the shoe, so there's no pressure on that little part of the foot, and she was perfectly sound an hour later. So that'll be perfectly fine. Yeah, it's a really good result to see it just. So feet are one of those things where they can be quite sore and then come right in a matter of hours. So there's no pressure on that part of the foot now. It'll be no issue at all. And very happy with her. She's had a perfect prep otherwise, never been unsound. We've timed her to win one race, knowing we've had her in the race for some time. So hasn't been sharp to win over 2,000, just been trained for 2 mile. And her run in the Cup at Moonee Valley was exceptional. She worked hard early, rode the speed and stayed on, absorbed the pressure. Most of them up front weakened, and it was a very good conditioning run. So she won't miss any work, have a gallop on Saturday morning. And look, class-wise, you'd say she hard to see her winning it, but it's a Melbourne Cup. It's a 2 mile handicap at the end of the day. And if you look at Val and Declare and Prince of Penzance, like big price winners, you know, you got to be in the race to win it. She's got a lightweight. Yeah, fingers crossed. Ding Yendall gives her a safe passage and she can run really well.
Yeah, good to have our little mate Dean on. He's been riding for us for years. He's had a few rides in the Cup. I think he's had a couple of top 10 finishes. So, so you said she hasn't galloped Saturday. Obviously Sunday, Monday, it all gets closer. What happens on the day? When does the Cup horses arrive there? Just give us a spiel there.
Yeah, so she'll have a security guard arrive at 4 a.m, I'd say, that watches her the whole day until the race, virtually. She will go for a trot in the morning at about 5 a.m, come back, have a shampoo, hop into her box with a rug on, have her breakfast, and then just leave her alone. Let her relax, rest her muscles, and then has to be on course at Flemington 3 hours before the race. When she arrives, she'll have a little warm-up walk to sort of get over the travel, have a pee in the urinal, and then she'll rest again until we put the saddle on her, basically. So very simple. Keep it as stress-free as possible. She's very relaxed anyway, so it's no problem. But yeah, so it'll be a big occasion. But look, I'm very disappointed there's no owners. I think that's a strange decision. I mean, I drive past Chadstone every day home from work, and there's 10,000 people in there today. So it's unfortunate for the owners. Like, I know there's worse things happening in the world, but we're pretty good in Victoria. And for the guys that have got a horse in a Melbourne Cup finally, and they can't be there, it's tough, I think. But so be it.
That's it. Darren, we've got about 4 minutes left on the recording, so I'll wind it up with Michael.
Well, I need to find out what your mail is for the weekend for a start. I guess Ocean X, you give probably a top 8 chance?
Yeah, I think so. I think she'll stay 2 mile, which gives her a chance to run top 10. Yeah, I don't think I can be tipping her in the first 3 or 4. If she does, fantastic. I'll be partying hard.
And what about for the weekend? Obviously, you've got some great runners going around this weekend with some massive chances. I'll be very surprised if you don't win another Group 1 this weekend.
Really? I hope you're right. So in the Derby, Redwood Shadow runs. It's probably 5 lengths inferior Derby to most years. It's a weak Derby. There's no fillies, no Guineas horses, no spring champion horses. So for $2 million, fantastic. We've got a horse that we paid 75 grand for. We bought him from a 2-year-old sale because he had a big stride length, and it's worked out well. He'll run really well. He hit the front and got beat the other day, but only got beat 0.4. So it's not a big margin to make up. And he circled the field the other day. Guy McNeil rides him, and he'll get back from barrier 12 and be running home. He's a genuine place chance. In the Coolmore, we got our Playboy. His form may read like he's a soft tracker. I don't think he is. He likes it, but doesn't need it. He jarred up his last start, yes, but he comes to this race on fresh legs. He's been training the house down. He's a very smart colt who did beat Ranting fair and square in the Vane Stakes first up in the spring. That form looks good. Ranting obviously beat Anders in the Blue Sapphire. He's drawn the right part of the race. So he's drawn inside of, he's got Farnan to his inside and September Run to his outside. They're the 2 best horses in the race, and hopefully he can get a slipstream in behind Fun. He's 40-1, so look, I don't know if he can win, but he's won a Group 3, so we sort of thought, well, he won't improve his value winning a Group 3 again. Let's have a go at the big one. And our bet of the day is Odium, obviously. She's just gone the right way. She's a gorgeous filly. As we said earlier, don't know what's at the bottom because she keeps winning the races easily. She's improved. She's drawn a beautiful barrier, barrier 7. There's speed drawn in barriers 10, 13 and 14. They'll come across. She should end up sort of between 4th and 8th. And she's got 49 kilograms. So this race, 3-year-old fillies have won it 2 out of the last 4 years. Scholes and I'm a Star won, having ran 2nd in the Guineas. So it's a good race of fillies. And I think she's in the right form to win.
Sounds bloody good to me.
Well, I think because I'm probably Australia's leading tipster, I do think she'll win. And I hope she does for you, Michael.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Really appreciate you coming on today. I know it's busy down there with trotting horses up for the Cup, and you've got a lot on your plate, but mate, really appreciate it. All the very best for the carnival, and look forward to seeing if you can get me up to Magic Millions next year and wipe out my credit limit.
That'd be fantastic. No, thanks for having me, guys. And I must say, you know, yourself, Darren, and Peter are the best owners to deal with. I would say you take the losses as good as the wins, and it's a big. It makes training a lot simpler, you know, when you can just train the horse, because more often than not, you've got to worry about the owner getting upset. And yeah, you guys are the best. So thanks.
Been a long time. Most of them are no good. We know that. There's no point beating around the bush. You just get rid of them, get another one. It could be the good one. All the best, mate. Have a great week at Flemington, and thanks for coming on.
All right, guys. Good luck. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Cheers.